Observe the particles shown in the boxes. Identify the particles and classify.
All forms of matter around us are composed of one or more elements. Some of them are natural, and the rest are man-made elements. What are elements? Elements are substances that cannot be separated into simpler substances by any known chemical methods. Water, for example, is made up of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe what atoms, molecules, and ions are. Identify the particles in substances as atoms, molecules, and ions. State examples of substances made from atoms, molecules, and ions. Atoms are the smallest unit of a particular element, but most matter is in the form of molecules or ions. What are atoms, molecules, and ions? Click each particle to find out. An atom is the smallest unit of an element. Example of atoms are A. Zinc, B. Copper, C. Gold. A molecule is comprised of two or more chemically bonded atoms of the same or different type of element. Examples of molecules are A. Water, B. Hydrochloric acid. Ion is the particle formed when a neutral atom or group of atoms gain or loses one or more electrons. Examples of ions are sodium, ion potassium, and ion magnesium. As you know, there are more than 100 elements in the periodic table. Each element is made up of atom. Examples of atoms are magnesium, copper, argon, and oxygen. What does an atom consist of? An atom consists of three subatomic particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. It is usually neutral because the number of protons and electrons are equal. Let's take an oxygen atom as an example. An oxygen atom contains 8 protons in its nucleus, with 8 electrons revolving around it on their orbits. What will happen if two oxygen atoms combine? A molecule is comprised of two or more chemically bonded atoms. The atoms may be of the same type of element or they may be different. Oxygen is an example of a molecule. Two oxygen atoms are chemically bonded together to form an oxygen molecule. Let us see how two different atoms combine to form a molecule. An example of molecule which is composed of two different types of atoms is water. A water molecule consists of 3 atoms, 1 oxygen and 2 hydrogen atoms which are chemically bonded. Other examples of molecules are hydrochloric acid and ammonia. A normal atom is called a neutral atom with the number of protons equal to the number of electrons. What are ions? Ions are charged particles. An atom can be a positive ion or negative ion. When an atom loses electrons, it becomes a positive ion. A positive ion has more protons than electrons. When an atom gains electrons, it becomes a negative ion. A negative ion has more electrons than protons. Let us see how a positive ion is formed. As an example, sodium atom loses an electron to form a positive ion. What will happen if a chlorine atom receives electrons? Chlorine will have more electrons compared to protons. Therefore, chlorine is negatively charged. A sodium ion and a chloride ion are attracted to each other to form sodium chloride, which is also known as common salt. Sodium ion combines with chloride ion to produce sodium chloride. Other examples of substances made from ions are lead bromide and copper sulfate.
Observe the particles shown in the boxes. Identify the particles and classify them in the table.
Your answer is correct.
Observe the pictures of substances and models of particles. Draw lines to match the particles with the substances given using an electronic pen. Identify the particles of substances and type your answer in the empty boxes. Click Answer to check. The particles found in copper are A. Ions, B. Atoms, C. Neutrons, D. Molecules.
Your answer is correct.
Particles in a molecule are A. The smallest units of an element, B. A group of atoms gain or lose electrons, C. Comprised of metal and non-metal atom, D. Comprised of two or more chemically bonded atoms.
Your answer is correct.
What does the figure represent? A. Ions, B. Atoms, C. Molecules, D. Semimetals.
Your answer is correct.
Sodium chloride is the common table salt used in our daily life. Identify the particles found in sodium chloride. A. Ions, B. Atoms, C. Metals, D. Molecules.
Your answer is correct.
Ions can be formed when atoms A. Gain or lose protons, B. Gain or lose neutrons, C. Gain or lose electrons, D. Gain or lose protons and electrons.
Your answer is correct. From this lesson, we know that a substance contains different types of particles. These particles will determine the chemical and physical properties of the substances. Click each particle in the diagram. Atoms are the smallest particles. All elements are composed of atoms. Examples are oxygen atom and helium atom. A molecule is comprised of two or more chemically bonded atoms of the same or different types of element. Examples are water, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Ions are charged particles. They are formed when atoms gain or lose electrons. Examples are sodium chloride and copper chloride.
Molecular substances can be represented using 3D model as well. Click the Info button to learn more about it.